Hey, just gonna throw this out there. You're really cute.
Well, my mom always said I was a cute kid.
Oh, a mama's boy, huh? I'll be your mommy.
Alrighty, welcome back, Annie and everybody. This is Lynn and Otter here to do one more episode of One Last Night. In fact, you guys may be in for a double upload since I was told that I'm getting close to the end here. So kind of like with Socially Awkward, I'm gonna record for an extended period of time, and depending on how the story goes, if I actually get to the end and am caught up, I'll split it into two, or maybe this will be the last episode. We'll see, or just one slightly longer video. But all in all, ready to go. Yeah, let's just follow Dorian's lead and just, yeah. I picked up the plastic cutlery and scooped a spoonful into my mouth. The texture wasn't all too far from oatmeal and tasted slightly sweet as well. There must have been an abundance of sugar if they bothered to waste it on prisoner food. Maybe there was a way I could make use of that maybe there was a way I could make use of that info in the future. It wasn't as awful as I was expecting, but this as a meal repeatedly would surely drive me mad. Due to the simplicity, it wasn't long before it was gone. My stomach felt full enough to hopefully provide me with enough energy for what was to come. I set the tray back by the door, leaving everything intact and placed neatly on it. Trying something off the bat was too expected of a move, and it would serve me better to be patient. With breakfast out of the way, I was left with nothing else to do. I could work out, but I was worried that doing so would hinder me during Wonderland. Instead, I picked up a newspaper to pass the time. I wished they'd left a pen or something with me. I had nothing to fill out the crosswords and the other puzzles with. Switching between the newspapers, they were all at least 4 years old. Some even went back decades, covering world events and local stories I remembered hearing about growing up. A laugh escaped me as seeing an article talking about Y2K. People worried back then about a computer bug causing the apocalypse. In reality, it had all been a miscommunication error. If only they'd known what was actually to come. After finishing that paper, I moved to put it on the shelf with the others I'd read. As I was bending down to pick up the next one, something at the base of the shelf caught my eye. I pushed it to the left, squatting to get a better view. There was a hole gouged into the metal there, barely big enough for 3 fingers to wiggle their way through. I brought the lantern down for a closer look, trying to make out if there was anything inside there. It was empty, but I saw the cavity curve downwards before going upwards to the other side of the wall. As I leaned closer, I heard a faint sound coming from it. Of what, I wasn't sure yet. I brought my ear down to it, listening intently to discern what it was. It sounded like breathing? The breaths were gentle but shuddering, a slight wheezing to them. It almost sounded like they had an old man trapped on the other side. I knew the bandits could be cruel, but surely they wouldn't make an elderly man their prisoner. What use could he serve them? Bait? A loud smash echoed through my cell as someone banged on the metal door to the room, startling me to my feet. I stood there watching as the shutter slowly raised up from the floor. The light started to fill the chamber as 2 of my captors stood there, one holding a lantern while the other held a length of rope. I stared at them, unmoving, until one let out a sigh. "Oh, come on, hands out for us. There's no need to make this difficult." I stepped forward, reluctantly raising my arms. I wanted to tell them to F off, to fight them and cause a scene, but knowing it would get me nowhere. I'd be complicit for now. My hands were bound in a similar fashion to the previous days, except with the comfort of them being in front of me this time. "All right, bud, let's get your keys to Wonderland." Looks like a great scene for a music video. The guard with the lantern closed the shutter behind us as we stepped out into the hall. I made a mental note for later that they kept me in Unit 229. The shutter next to me, Unit 228, was closed as well, with large padlocks through the handle. Someone was definitely inside. The halls we walked were all glaringly plain, rows upon rows of storage units that were indistinguishable in every way except for their numbers. Lining them with lanterns hanging from nails embedded in the concrete, making up the difference in light due to the lack of windows. We reached a staircase at the end of the hall and made our way down to the basement level. The place hadn't changed in style, yet just knowing it was underground made it feel creepier. I doubted this place had any sort of large underground space big enough to host whatever event was planned. It was just a storage facility after all. Upon opening the door, I was met with a long and narrow hallway. A guard waited on the other side and nodded as we passed. That's water. The other end of the tunnel was a distance away, stopping at a turn to the right. Were we in some kind of secret passage? If so, then where to? I could feel my mind starting to spin with questions again, threatening to veer out of control. There was so much I didn't know that it was overwhelming. I took a deep breath then, exhaling all the anxieties and scattered thoughts. There'd be a time and a place for that. But it wasn't now. My priority for now was keeping myself alive and finding Xavier. Now wasn't the time to panic over things I couldn't change. Now was the time to focus on survival. After several minutes of silence, broken only by the soft padding of our feet on the concrete, we finally reached the end of the turning passage. There was a set of stairs leading up to another guard and rusted metal door. I blinked my eyes at the light upon exiting. We looked to be in a shipping warehouse. Shipping crates covered the place, their brightened hues bringing a refreshing color palette to the bleak surroundings. Broken machinery scattered the floor, mixed in with other bits of debris. Light streamed through holes in the ceiling. The owner of this building must have owned a storage unit as well. Why else would there be a tunnel directly connecting the two? Rather than going further in, we stuck along the wall and were brought to a small locker room. It was clear this was where the employees had once changed into their uniforms and stored their belongings while at work. Now it was full of bandits, guarding the edges and all possible exits. The rest of the people, who I assumed were their other prisoners, mingled around the room, watching each other with cautious glances. Oh boy, I'm getting like a battle royale kind of a vibe, some kind of fight to the death, gladiator style. Oh, there's talking. There's some sounds going on. Uh-oh. A few had sheathed knives at their waist, making their role obvious. Though for some, it was hard to tell if they might be a bandit or a prisoner. These were all just people, after all, dirty, scarred, and broken by events of the past. My escorts untied my hands, giving me a wave as they walked through the exit. Have fun today, and make sure to put on a good show for us. Uh-oh. He laughed to himself before he and his partner left the room, leaving me with nearly 24 other prisoners in the large room. Another person went to follow them out, but was stopped by one of the guards at the door. Excuse me, if I could just get through there. No way, buddy. You've got Wonderland to attend. They flashed a smile, not a hint of that earlier confidence shed. Exactly. I need to get good seats before they run out. The bandits smiled back. All right, then. Show me your scar. Their smile twitched. Excuse me? If you're truly an ignited, then Alistair would have left his mark on you to prove you belong here. As if practiced, he pulled his shirt just below his collarbone to reveal a small burn wound visible through his fur. Their face had whitened, that confidence now completely gone. That's what I thought. The prisoner walked away, embarrassed and nervous. This confirmed my concerns from earlier that they all wore the burn and that it was intentional. This was their mark, and the best way to identify them. After that exchange, I took the next moment to analyze everyone in the room. There were a few interesting parties milling about on both sides, and I wondered if I could make any allies to help us escape. A familiar shape drew my attention. I finally locked eyes with Xavier, the bat looking disheveled and worn out from just the one night alone in his cell. His eyes lit up a bit as we made our way towards each other and threw ourselves into a tight hug. I hadn't even realized just how much I missed the kid until he was right there. I stroked his head fur with one hand, smoothing it out as best I could. I felt some wet droplets hit the back of my neck. Oh. You okay, Xavier? I'm fine. Just need a moment. He raised a hand to wipe his face before drawing himself back out of the hug. I noticed his finger had been wrapped with gauze and set. How's the finger holding up? It hurts to move it, but the nurse they have here was nice. Nice enough to be an ally? He brought his hand to his chin as he considered the idea. Possibly. I wouldn't be willing to bet it all on one interaction, though. Well, we can put her in the maybe category then. You make it sound as though you already have the beginnings of a plan in place. Who's to say I don't? The fact that your bedhead seems about as tamed as mine. Hey, I'll have you know it's just a stylistic choice. It makes me seem more approachable. Or like you're one of those people who has a shirt that says, "Don't talk to me until I've had my coffee." I put a hand to my chest in mock offense. Ugh, I would never. I don't believe you. It's true. Then was it on a mug? I remained silent, causing him to smile. It was on a mug. There was no possible rebuttal I could make now, sighing in defeat. Point to Xavier. Oh, I missed these two. He celebrated with a fist pump. Even though he'd won that exchange, I couldn't help but smile at getting to talk with the bat again. He was a good person to banter with to take your mind off things. Frankly, that was the one thing I wanted to do the most right now. Humor is my favorite coping mechanism when dealing with stress. So then, what is your big plan? I wish I had one, kid. There's just too many variables at the moment to sort it out properly. He nodded, thinking to himself. I take it you haven't learned anything about Wonderland, then. I shook my head. About as much as you have, I'd guess. And maybe I could help. Hey, a new character. What voice shall I give him? A hyena-looking fellow. We turned in unison at the sudden voice, coming face to face with a spotted hyena I'd never seen before. Their fur cascaded over their head like a mohawk, clearly combed thoroughly. Their eyes were a deep blue, brought out by the heavy bags that rested under them. Clearly they didn't get much sleep. A silver nose ring sat at the end of their muzzle, surprising me. I hadn't seen any of the other prisoners allowed anything like this. They wore a white tank top and dark maroon khakis, both in surprisingly good condition. Hyena definitely took a lot of pride in their looks. That was, except for the dirty bandages they kept wrapped around their arms. It was a curious contrast to the cleanliness. All right. Let's see. What is his voice going to be like? Name's Shen. Always wonderful to meet two handsome men like yourselves. They extended both hands to us with a smirk, waiting expectantly for us to take them. The exchange so far was off-putting, their tone of voice low and tired. Oh, okay, so a little bit of a low voice. Tired, yet carrying an air of confidence and intrigue. They almost sounded unamused by the situation. Okay, thanks for the stage direction. I'll try to pull that off. I took their left one, resulting in a firm and lengthy handshake. Well now, don't be shy. I've yet to hear the lovely couple's names. I blinked. Couple? Us? You mean him? No way, I would never. Are you not? I thought if two studs like you knew each other, there was no chance they'd be single and ready to mingle. There's only so much mingling you can do in an apocalypse, too. Don't let the opportunity pass you by. I was dumbfounded at the hyena, my mind drawing a blank at how I was supposed to respond. Instead, I focused on the first thing they said. You said you could help? They smirked. Ah, so you're listening. I thought I'd lost you for a moment there. Of course I can help. Though it will come at a price. Of course it will. Hey now, I never said I wasn't open to negotiations. That is, if you tell me your names. I rolled my eyes at them. I could already tell they were going to be a handful to deal with, but I needed information. I'm Dorian. He's Xavier. With a final shake, they let go of our hands. Took you long enough. Dorian and Xavier, huh? They really roll off the tongue, and that's only my second favorite muscle to use. Jeez. Shen winked before clapping their hands together. So, negotiations. How does $1 million sound? Again, I was speechless. They were definitely after something, but the absurdity caught me off guard. I'm sorry, what? You're forgiven. There was a silence between all three of us before they spoke again. Too high? Currency change? Clearly. Besides, what use would you have it? Blah, blah, blah. Clearly. Besides, what use would you even have for money? Isn't it all worthless now? An excellent point. God, why hadn't I thought of that? Oh, God, why hadn't I thought of that? The sarcasm on their voice was so thick I could practically feel it in the air. What is it that you actually want, Shen? Your souls. All emotion and expression left them at that before the smile returned. Kidding. Man, you should have seen the looks on your faces. Xavier and I exchanged a glance, both of us wearing unamused expressions. Shen sighed, giving up. The way they acted now seemed to be their true self, the display before being just that, a display. Their bodies seemed to sag a bit more with exhaustion, their posture relaxing as their voice carried an almost disinterested tone. Damn, tough crowd. Would it kill you to both lighten up a bit? Look, I won't ask for much. Just make a deal with me that if you both survive Wonderland, we can have a three-way. Jeez. I feel like despite the appearance, the story keeps using they pronouns, so I'm going to assume this person is, as they say, non-binary. So I'll try to make sure I not use guy, because I was about to say, this guy is pretty something else. I waited for them to show it was a facade and laugh again, but it never came. Oh, they were serious. Count me out. I'm already in a committed relationship. I thought you said you two weren't dating. We're not. My boyfriend isn't here with us. They sighed. All right, lover boys out then. How about you, Twink? Xavier didn't respond to them. I looked over, seeing he'd become flustered at the overall exchange. What are you acting shy for? It's just sex, and I doubt you're a virgin. Is this person serious? Of all things, I thought they were going to want to trade in this moment. No response from the bat. Wait, seriously? Oh, no frickin' way. Oh, the smirk stretched across their face again, their interest reaching an all-time high. They slung an arm around his shoulder. I can give you the first time of your life, handsome. Oh, don't worry. I can be gentle with nervous bottoms like you. It wouldn't be my first time. Ah!
So hey, just gonna throw this out there. You're really cute.
Well, my mom always said I was a cute kid.
Oh, a mama's boy, huh? I'll be your mommy.
Reaching the limit of what he could take, Xavier flung his arms up, accidentally smacking Shen in the process. Ooh. Look, I'm not going to sleep with you. Shen winced, rubbing the spot where they were hit. Okay, I get it. No need for violence right now. Save that for the arena. Finally, some kind of information. What do you mean? Realizing they weren't going to get in our pants and that their whole ordeal might have gone too far, they sighed. Fine. I'll tell you in exchange for a favor later. We glared at them, causing them to raise their hands innocently. And I promise it won't be for sex. Deal? I smiled, preferring this outcome to the previous offers. Deal. They rubbed the back of their neck, stretching them and letting out a yawn. The brief exchange had already drained some of what little energy they had. Oh boy. Wonderland is essentially a survival of the fittest type event. Our self-proclaimed saviors send us out into their arena. They pointed to the exit near the windows. And match us against faded in a fight to the death. I felt the color draining from my face. They had captured Faded? But how? As soon as I'd asked myself, the answer popped into my head. Shipping containers. Bingo. They store them in there until they have enough participants for the next event. Oh my gosh. Well, that's terrifying in hindsight to think, was he sleeping next to a Faded? Is that what that breathing was? They scoffed at their own words. Participants. As if we have a friggin' choice. My mind was racing, trying to figure out how the hell we were going to get out of this one alive. There was no way they'd leave us unarmed for it. Otherwise it would get boring for them after a while. We had to stand a chance for them to even consider it entertainment. I was about to try and get more info out of them when a voice interjected itself. Shen! They sounded annoyed, our hyena ally clearly having pissed someone else off. Oh, crap. Quick, hide me. Don't let Treat find me. Who? Treat, it's his name. He doesn't like it when you question it. What? Huh? They ducked behind us, using us as cover in an attempt to avoid the approaching person. What the heck? Striding toward us was a slightly scruffy Wolverine. It had surely been a while since he had a chance to trim his fur. His eyes were a maroon color, a couple shades lighter than Shen's pants. He wore a varsity jacket over a gray shirt, showcasing his larger build and muscled arms. He'd clearly been some kind of athlete, judging by his appearance. I wondered if he'd maybe been a student at the university before everything happened. He was shorter than the rest of us, at around 5'9". Shorter? Okay, I guess we learned something. Dorian is like 5'10", 5'11" then? But his voice was the deepest as he spoke. I can see you crouched behind them, Shen. No, you can't. As if reading each other's thoughts, Xavier and I stepped to the side in sync. Traitors. The stranger stepped forward, looking down at the hyena. Come on, get up now. They stood up, putting a fake whine in their voice and pouting, like a child about to throw a tantrum. But, Dad, you said I could go and play with the other kids. The Wolverines sighed, rubbing their forehead in annoyance. Why do I still put up with you? Because you have no other friends. Treat paused, as if considering it. You're right. He brought his gaze to me, taking his attention off of Shen. Nice to meet you. Interested in being my new friend? I looked at Shen briefly before meeting Treat's eyes again. Absolutely. He smiled while the hyena stared in shock. You can't replace me that easily. Watch me. He turned to Xavier next, who was already smiling in anticipation. You don't even have to ask. Would you look at that? Two for the price of one. The three of us laughed while Shen grumbled, unamused. Now come on, dude. You know I'm just kidding around. He brought an arm around their shoulder, shaking them a bit. This seemed to bring them back around to their energy from before. Sorry about any trouble they might have caused. They're an a-hole, but I promise they're the lovable kind. Shen shrugged. When it suits me. I rolled my eyes. They were actually pretty helpful. Aside from trying to sleep with us immediately. Ow, without looking, Treat smacked Shen upside the head. Ow! What was that for? Why do you always try to pork people as soon as you meet them? Another shrug. It's a force of habit. Don't slut-shame me. I'm not. I'm just you-shaming you. So you admit it. Treat sighed, but Shen interrupted before they could speak again. My sluttiness worked on you, didn't it? Oh. You forget I've yet to actually, do the thing. Emphasis on yet. Shen winked, prompting an eye roll from the Wolverine. Anyway, you said they were helpful for once? Hey! We ignored them. They told us a bit about what Wonderland actually is. We really have to fight Fated? Unfortunately so. It's a feat in itself that they managed to capture any, but they somehow do. If it was true, it really would be something impressive. And how do you know that? Shen smirked, as if waiting for this moment. Because, lover boy, you're looking at two of its survivors. Seriously? Seriously. This will be my second event. Oh, Jesus, like the Hunger Games Part 2. And my third? I'm the reigning champion. The whole crowd loves me. That's probably because you've slept with most of them. That's called strategy, my dear friend. Judging by their interactions, there was no doubt the two knew each other. It would make sense if they bonded over the trauma of being captured by the bandits. They were close and, for whatever reason, had deemed us trustworthy enough to be allies. I already had enough regret with how I treated Xavier, so maybe I could make up for that here. I could trust a duo. Right? I want to say yes. Before I could ask more, I was once again interrupted by the sound of a loud voice. All right, everyone. Cut the chit-chat and pay attention. The show is about to begin. The room quieted and Treat leaned in, whispering to us. Good luck, you two. I hope to see you both at the end of the day. Shen turned to look at Xavier. I call dibs on the crop top if you do die. They earned another smack from the Wolverine as they two walked away. Aw. They're certainly interesting. You can say that again. I opened my mouth and was met with a glare from the bat until I shut it again. I was about to say, do you think we can trust them? I don't know. But they put some in us. But they put some in us? Trust? Faith? But they put some faith in us. We should at least try. Xavier nodded, and the two of us walked closer to the windows to get a better view of our arena. Oh boy. I'm going to just go for a timer for a few more minutes. Get close to stopping for now. But like I said, I'm probably going to still record today. Continue anyway. I shielded my eyes from the bright morning light as we peered out, taking in what would soon be the place where we fought for our lives. Shipping containers had been arranged in a square against the warehouse, massive in size and stacked 2 or 3 high. The flooring was covered in sand, likely used to absorb any blood spilt in the heat of battle. This is making me nervous. I don't want anybody to die. Atop the adjacent wall sat the bandits, my eyes widening at the sheer number of them. There had to be a few hundred here, a number much larger than where I was. There had to be a few hundred here, a number much larger than where I was greeted. Where had they been keeping them all? Thinking about it, I wasn't sure the number of people could fit in the storage facility we were being held in. Was there a secondary base? Or were some of these people guests? Either the amount who showed up was intentional, or somehow had broken the first 2 rules of this club. I shivered at the thought that some of these people went out of their way to watch their fellow people fight to the death. I was starting to feel like a gladiator, just without the glory. Or the glad. How can I put the glad in gladiator when when I'm under these conditions? Or adequate weapons. I could only see so much from where we were, but I heard more. The chatter of the masses in the stands, the nervous murmurs from the other prisoners, and the loud bangs from a few of the shipping containers. The fact that this was outside, and this was loud, was an incredible risk. Who knows how many fated could be alerted by this show? Having this many fated in a small place was dangerous enough, but if they attracted more, it'd be a bloodbath. The longer I stood watching this scene, the more unsettled I felt by it. I was unwillingly dragged into this crap show, and now I was meant to serve them as entertainment. The noise began to die down suddenly, drawing my attention away from my thoughts to see what had caused this. For F's sake, Alistair. Standing atop the opposite wall, Cal positioned off to the side, was my ex. While he'd shown some of his stage persona to us yesterday, this felt over the top. Oh, and he's got, more like over the top hat. But Alright, now to accentuate his role as the greatest showman still alive, he donned a top hat and a cane. It felt completely over the top. But the worst part was that he looked good with them. Does he? Does he now? The crowd had fallen silent as he stood there, smugly looking out over his sycophants. He was reveling in the attention. Once he'd decided he'd had enough, he spread his arms wide and spoke. His voice boomed across the arena, echoing back across the space like speakers had been set up. Gotta get some water. Oh, jeez. Welcome, everyone, to the show! Wow. With those words alone, violent cheering erupted from the crowds, drowning out the banging from inside the storage containers. The people were excited and eagerly awaiting this moment. We here with the Ignited are happy to be able to bring you all another round of our glorious Wonderland. We have spent the past few months gathering both contestants and fated in order to provide you all with the best experience possible. Today will be our biggest show yet. So, let's give everyone who helped make this possible a hand. The sound of their collective claps echoed across the space, deafeningly loud. It was almost like a salesman at the moment, trying to push a product on a bunch of naive customers. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught Shen clapping along before Treat flicked the back of their hand. This prompted a confused stance from the hyena, making the Wolverine roll his eyes and accidentally making eye contact with me. I smiled and shook my head before facing the arena once more as the applause died down. That Yin really was something. I couldn't get a read on them, and that concerned me, but at least Treat seemed to be able to keep them in line mostly. Well, beggars can't be choosers. They were our best choice of allies at the moment, so I might as well trust them. Those of you who have attended our event before know the drill, but I see a number of fresh faces among the crowd. Allow me to explain. Just down there, sequestered away into that warehouse, await our lovely contestants. 21 individuals in the prime of their life, ready to face down a variety of horrors. One by one, we will select a contestant to enter our lovely arena and face off against a randomly selected fated. However, it would be horribly cruel to leave them unarmed. The Ignited aren't monsters after all. Jeez, never had I wanted to smack the smirk off someone's face harder than I did now. The more I listened to him, the more the rage built up in me. Seriously, it's frustrating to think that there are people out there that are so willing to treat other people as disposable. Oops. So that's always a frustrating character trait, so yeah, Alistair, you're kind of sucking in my eyes right now. Alright, let's see. So let me go ahead and save this for now. I'm going to pause this and continue recording, though. So if you guys are watching this, the episode's going to probably end here. And if it's all just one big episode, then we're continuing right away. Yeah. Oops. Alrighty. It turns out that, yes, we actually are ending it here. So I'm just going to say thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you liked it. The next episode is going to be coming up pretty soon since, like I said, it's already recorded and I'm already in the process of editing it. But, yeah, it's going to get pretty intense. Very Gladiator. And, yeah, I'm a little nervous for our heroes. But anyway, again, thanks for watching. Hope you have a good day, good night, good evening, whatever it is for you. Take care. Next episode's going to be up pretty soon. So, yeah, stay tuned. Bye, guys. Or take care. Voila.